What part of command has felt the most difficult or heavy for you personally?
Well, it's a tough question.
Hello, Vice Admiral Topshee. Thank you for being with us today. Let's get into the first question.
That sounds good.
You spent the last 4 years leading the Royal Canadian Navy, but before all that, you were a young officer at sea. When you look back at that version of yourself, what part of you still shapes the way you lead today?
I think it was my experience on HMCS Winnipeg where I saw the commanding officer who really created a culture of fun but professional behavior. It was then Commander Dave Hudock, and he conveyed the idea that he had the best job in the world, and that every sailor was contributing to the mission, that everybody had a place to contribute, and he just put us in a position to succeed. And I've sort of always admired that leadership model and tried to figure out how to replicate it at every level I've been in the Navy.
Thank you for that. And for my next question, I think a lot of people hear the word command and picture authority or rank. But over these last 4 years, what part of command has felt the most difficult or heavy for you personally?
Well, it's a tough question because I really believe that we don't talk enough about team when we talk about leadership, right? Because we think about leadership as something, it's an individual who just sort of directs a group of people, but it's actually, I think the essence of leadership is how do you get the most out of your people? How do you put them in a position to succeed? Every person has different attributes, different strengths, different abilities, and it's the collective that's the most important. Holding people accountable for doing well, but doing it in a way that's constructive, so that they step up, they see the opportunity to do that. And then the final thing I was really focused on is if everything has to come to the top, then we're failing. How do we really truly bring initiative and innovation to every level of the RCN? How do we really get people to take risks, to move forward? And part of that is making sure that if something goes wrong, if we make a mistake, that we don't overreact to it, that we deal with it and we move on and we understand the circumstances of the mistake. If it touches on ethics and values, different matter. But if it's an honest mistake, then we correct and we move forward and we learn.
And touching on that a little bit more, what moment over the last 4 years humbled you the most?
Um, I think it was, to be honest, the death of Petty Officer Applin in Bedford Basin. The recognition that I regard that as a preventable death, and it was a reminder that the ocean, the seas are always there. They're always a threat. It's always a challenge that will kill you on a bad day. And if we're not an organization that is ready in all respects, we're going to struggle. And I think it revealed that there's a level of complacency that we need to figure out how to address. I think we didn't have a very good process to really assess that incident properly, complicated by the fact that there was a criminal investigation as well that meant that we had to step back. But I think that was the one that I really felt as though we needed to have done better, and it highlighted that we still have a lot of work to do collectively.
Thank you for sharing that. And if you're ready for my next question, many Canadians have never stepped on a warship and may not know Canada even has a Navy. How would you explain the importance of Canada's Navy?
So Canada is a maritime country. Our Prime Minister has made it clear he wants to increase our trade with other countries. He wants to do more. That trade is going to go across the oceans if it's not going to the U.S. I like to describe 4 maritime boundaries for Canada, our 3 oceans and the Great Lakes and St. Lawrence Seaway. That St. Lawrence Seaway is hugely important. And if we don't control our waters, if we don't know everything that's happening on and under our waters, then we don't control our destiny in Canada. We don't control our ability to be a player in the world. And our security at sea is tied inextricably to our prosperity as a country. And so I think that's what I would try and tell to Canadians, but a lot of that's esoteric and hard to understand. I think the best way for Canadians to appreciate what the Navy does is to find a way. I wish I could take every Canadian to sea for a couple of days, as I really feel you know what's best when you spend a night at sea with us. You see what sailors are doing. You realize it's a 24/7 business. You realize that the sea is a meritocracy. It doesn't care who you are, where you come from, or what you're doing. It only cares if you're competent. And it's an incredible life. It's an incredible thing to see the world, to experience it from the deck of a ship or the hull of a submarine. And I wish more Canadians could experience that and see what we do to protect their interests every day.
Thank you. And for my next question, in this role, you've stressed the importance of taking care of your family. What kind of sacrifices have you and your family had to make throughout your career?
Um, I mean, military life is a difficult life because we move a lot. In fact, I don't think I really appreciate the sacrifices of my family. First and foremost, my 4 daughters and my wife have taught me a lot. They keep me humble because they remind me all of the time of the places where I need to do better, can do better, and should do better. Um, but they also, you really see in them the impact that service can have on families. We've never lived in a house longer than 3 years as we move about. And that's been the solution for us. The solution will be different for other people, and I think we need to be open to the idea that there are different ways to manage the challenges of a military career. My wife served for 23 years, so we're very familiar with the challenges of being a service couple, especially a service couple with young kids, as you meet the demands of service. And I think as an institution, we're really striving to do as well as we can to take care of the whole person. And the other challenge I see is that we often sometimes to forget the single members, and we treat them as though, well, you don't have a family, that you don't have any dependents, so we can move you wherever we want, whenever we want, and ask you to do all sorts of stuff. And that's a good way to make sure they stay single and without dependents. And so we need to do better. We need to find a way, and I think we can. We can have a family and have a career, really truly serve your country, and there are ways to find the right balance in all of that. And work-life balance means different things to different people. For some people, it could be the hours you work that you find a way to flex in a bit of time to focus on family at the right moment. It could be a meaningful emotional connection, even while you're deployed. How do you achieve all of those things? We have the tools to do some of that, but there are always going to be challenges and demands of service.
And following up on that a bit more, as you leave this role, what do you hope your family feels most proud of?
I don't know. I've never thought about the question in that terms. Um, I mean, uh, I don't know what I think my family gives me a comment sometimes that, I've been meeting a lot of different provincial premiers in the course of my duties. And I think at one point they said I was collecting premiers like Pokemon because I'd send a different photo all the time. So I don't know if I've met just about every premier of the provinces of Canada. And I think they enjoyed the photos of all of the, what I get to do, where I get to go in the job. But what I'm most proud of is just the incredible work of all of the great sailors that we've got in the Navy, all of the great defense team members who support the Navy outside of uniform, but in the public service. It has been an incredible honor to command the Navy the last 4 years, and I'm so proud of everything we've achieved in that time.
Thank you. And one last one for you here. What would be your message to young sailors who aspire to be leaders one day?
Um, I think it is, my advice has always been, go do the things that you know you're good at. Because if you're good at something and you love doing it, then you're going to succeed. And what matters most is your performance. That will highlight the potential that you have. Don't worry about this next job is the fastest path to promotion. Do what makes sense. Do what's best for you and your family in the moment. And you'll have success. And that success is not defined by promotion or any position that you might get. It's defined by, I think it's defined by the type of person you are, the families and friends that you make, and the contribution you have to the organization. Everyone has the ability to make a huge contribution to this organization, no matter what level they're at. And so I think that's the key. Find a place where you really believe you're having a positive impact and focus on that.
Well, thank you for your time, sir, and I wish you the best of luck on this new chapter as Vice Chief of the Defense Staff.
Yeah, it should be very interesting. I am excited for the investment government is making into the military right now, and we owe them the best possible Canadian Armed Forces in exchange for that investment, and it has to work for all Canadians, support Canadian defense industry and Canadian prosperity overall. So can't wait to get on with that next job.